All right, so we're still in January 2021, and we're doing question number 2. Question number 2A says, factorize the following expression completely. Now, the first step when you hear the word factorize is to see if there are any common factors among the terms. So we have 4 and we have 12. The common factor, the highest common factor there is 4. So you're going to put the highest common factor outside of a pair of brackets. I look and I can see that n is also common. And the highest power would be the n with the lowest power. So that is n. So the HCF that I'm going to put outside the bracket is 4n. So the first thing I do is I look to see if there are any common factors. Once there are common factor, I'm going to put the HCF outside of the bracket. So the HCF is 4n, then I'm going to divide. 4n into 12n squared is 3n. Minus 4n into 4mn is just m. We're dividing 4mn by 4n. 4 cancels 4, n cancels n. So when we factorize, we get what? 4n into 3n minus m. I says, show that x over 1 minus x minus 4x is equal to that. So in other words, we need to take the left-hand side, and when we are finished, it should look like we should end up with the right-hand side. So on the left, we have x over 1 minus x minus 4x. That's what we have. All right, so that's the left-hand side. What I would do is I would put this over 1 now, and I would put this in bracket. Now, when numbers are in a bracket, you must treat it as if it is a single number. When you have something is in a bracket, you must treat it as if it is a single number. So this is the same as saying 3x over what? A minus 4x over 1. It's the same, this is the same thing as that. You're going to treat x1 minus x as if it is a single number. Stay with me. Ladies, gentlemen, if you're adding or subtracting fractions and the denominators are different, you must find the LCM. The LCM is 1 minus x. So if you have, once you have if you have 1 and 2 in the denominator, the LCM is 2. If you have 1 and 10 in the denominator, the LCM is 10. If you have 1 and 1 minus x in the denominator, the LCM is 1 minus x. Guys, 1 minus x into 1 minus x into 1 minus x is 1. 1 times x is x. Minus 1 into 1 minus x is 1 minus x. So it's the numerator 4x multiply by 1 minus x. Remember, when we're finished, the left-hand side must become the right-hand side. So now I have x minus 4x times 1 is 4x. A negative times a negative is a positive. So it's positive. 4x times x is 4x squared. And this is all over 1 minus x. Next, x minus 4x is minus 3x. So this is minus 3x plus 4x squared over 1 minus x. I'm going to put the 4x squared in the front. So 4x squared minus 3x is the same thing. All I did was to put the 4x in the front. 1 minus x. In the numerator, x is common. So you put x outside the bracket, then you divide. X into 4x squared is 4x, and x into 3x is 3, and this is all over 1 minus x. So we're finished now because I said when you're finished, the left-hand side must become the right-hand side. We started with the left-hand side, and when we're finished, we ended up with the right-hand side. Hence, we're told to what? Solve the equation. So remember, we just showed that 1 over 1 minus x minus 4x is the same as saying x into 4x minus 3 over 1 minus x is equal to 0 over 1. If I have one fraction is equal to one fraction, I'm going to cross multiply. So this is x into 4x minus 3 is equal to 0 times 1 minus x, which is still 0. If you multiply anything by 0, you're going to get 0. So guys, now I'm multiplying two things and I'm getting 0. If you're multiplying two things and you're getting 0, so here we have x multiplied by 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. If you are multiplying two things and you're getting 0, it is either the first one is equal to 0 or the second number is equal to 0. 4x is equal to 3. Negative 3 goes over and become positive. Then I divide both sides by 4. So my answers are x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 3 over 4. All right, so when I solve this equation, I got 2 answers. All right, so C is asking us to make V the subject of the formula. So we have P is equal to 5, the square root of 5 plus VT. P is equal to, and we want to make V the subject. When we're finished, we must have V by itself on one side. Now, to get rid of the square root bracket, the square root, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides. So if I square both sides, I'm going to have P squared is equal to 5 plus VT. Now, the square root of 5 plus VT is the same as saying 5 plus VT raised to the half power. So if I square this 2, the 2 cancels the 2, I'm just going to left with 5 plus VT to the power 1, which is the same as saying 5 plus VT. Next, anything that don't have in VT goes to the other side. So I have P squared minus 5 is equal to VT. I want to make V the subject. VT means V multiplied by T. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is to divide both sides by T. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with V is equal to P squared minus 5 over T. So we're asked to make V the subject. Now D, D looks like variation. From where I'm sitting, it looks like variation. This says the distance needed to stop a car D varies directly as the square of the speed S. So if you remember, we said that a variation question has a 4-step flow. And for the first step, you're going to convert the variation statement into a variation equation. This says D varies what? Directly as the square of the speed what? S. That's the variation statement. And that statement translates into D is equal to K multiplied by S squared. So this is what D, the distance, varies directly as the square of the speed. Remember, if it is directly, it's K multiplied by S squared. If it was inversely, it would be K divided by X squared. So that is step one. Step two, we have to be given a value of D and S so that we can calculate K. So the car traveling at a speed of 70 kilometers requires a distance of what? 40 meters to make a stop. So what that is saying is that when S is equal to 70, D is equal to 40. Step two says we must be given a value of S and D so that we can calculate K. So this is 70, sorry, not 70 there, so D is 40. 40 is equal to K times S, which is 70 square. Now 70 square, I think is what? 70 times 70. This is 4,900. So 4,900 K is equal to 40. If I divide both sides by 4,900, this cancels this. I get K is equal to 0 cancels zeros, 4 over 490. So step two, we're given a value of S and D so that we can calculate K. Step three, we need to rewrite the equation. D is equal to K, which is 4 over what? 490 times S squared. So step three says we must rewrite the equation and put in the new value of K. Step four, we're going to be given a value of S to calculate D or a value of D to calculate S. Here we're asked what distance is required to stop a car traveling at 80 kilometers per hour. So this is the same as saying when S is equal to 80, D is equal to 4 over 490 multiplied by 80 square, which is 80 times 80. So 0 cancels 0. So this is 4 times 80 times 8 and divide by 49. The answer here is 52.2 meters. The answer is 52.2 meters. So the distance required to stop a car traveling at 80 kilometers per hour is 52.2 meters.